is more like, oh, I don't know, like 8 songs, I think it was, but it's because I had to go find my phone holder. Yeah. Um, my boyfriend made this rad phone holder for me of Legos. Yes, Legos. He's a Lego master. He's amazing, and he does that. It just makes stuff for me. It's pretty awesome, Jeremy. He makes things for me. He's a CG artist person, and he works for a software company that does support for one of the largest software suites to do advanced CG animation. He is very into CG animation himself, and visual effects. So he's also a maker, and he just tools around and just makes stuff like just tools around and does art. He's an awesome person. He really is an awesome person. He's been an awesome person since I met him when I was 16 at work. He was my manager. Yeah. Well, not really my manager. He was like parallel manager. Someone had the fun idea that they were gonna stick me as the manager in children's books at Media Play in Denver, Colorado. Boy, that was a smart idea, right? And when I went into the interview, I was like, yeah, I know tons about children's books. And I did, because my mom had rehabbed this library in Colorado when I was a kid, and was the acting vice mayor of the town, and got this library rehabbed that had been like sitting in ruin for many years. And I spent lots of time in that library because my only friend as a kid was this 80-year-old librarian by the name of Mrs. Sarah. Oh, I love Miss Sarah. She was wonderful. She was stinky, but she was wonderful. I hate to say that. I don't like to speak ill of the dead, but she smelled to high heaven. She lived with like these 3 little dachshunds that she had as pets, and she was afraid to let them outside because she was afraid they'd run away, so they just pooped in the house. And she sort of just, smelled like that all the time, but I loved her anyway. She was old. She was old, and we used to go pick her up and bring her to the library, and she would show me the wonders that could be found in the public library. And I loved Miss Sarah. And she was my happy friend until she died. And I got to see her have her first bath. Um, her first bath in 30 years. No kidding. She had hair down to her knees. She was the coolest person in Tacoma, Colorado. She gave me my very first French dictionary. She gave me a copy of a French English dictionary. Uh, Larousse, Larousse dictionary, and it had no cover because it's been eaten alive by like book mites. And she's like, "This one's not good for you. You should take it." And she gave me an abridged copy, like A through, I want to say it was A through L of Le Dico Robert. Oh, and my heart sang. I was like, French! This is the story of how French words became French words. Oh my god! Yeah, so there it is. Like, my very first 2 French books and all of the children's books in the library. Like, because my mom was busy rehabbing the library, Mrs. Sarah and my mom put me in charge of, like, if kids come to the library, show them where to get the books and tell them what to get. So I just had lots of experience with books, and I spent a great deal of my life just, at the library, and for one reason or another. And so I was just very educated on children's books, and they thought, oh, with an education on children's books like that. Hi, Ella. Anyway, with the children's book education like that, they were all, oh, it doesn't matter if she has bright pink hair and is dressed like a wild goth. No, the kids will love that. Well, guess what? There weren't any kids in this downtown area. It was a business district. And this is all business people. So, really that didn't work. Like hardcore goths they don't really appeal like in the 90s to business people as booksellers. I was a rotten children's books manager, and I was also surly as hell. And so I'm not really sure why they thought that was a cool idea, but yeah, there it was, like, Mrs. Very Witchy, Very Gothy, running the children's book section, and I met, um, my now boyfriend, Jeremy, there at Media Play in 1995, working as a hapless 16-year-old, just desperately trying to make the rent, um, living with like 5 other punk rockers in this wretched, wretched dive of an apartment in Denver where it was redden with crime when I was that age. And they said, you know, you can't be the only one who doesn't have a job. Even the heroin addicts have a job. Go get a job. I was all, Jesus Christ. Went to go get a job at Media Play. And I was really, really interested in like working in music and applied for music. And they were like, yes, but it says that you have library experience. And I was like, yes, I'll take a job in the bookstore. And they were like, okay, well, where do you think you would be suited to work in the bookstore? I was like, probably children's books. That's what I know most about. Can you imagine this interview? Like, it must have been tragic. And they hated me. I mean, they really hated me. They did not want to schedule me at that store. And hi, hi, Nathaniel. Anyway, so they did not want to schedule me at the store. So here comes this new employee. They're on the employee line one day, and I'm like standing there watching the employee line. Here's this person, the only person on the employee line, not dressed in khakis and like a pastel shirt. The only person dressed in black, and I'm all, oh well, who is that? Not towing the corporate line over here. I'm gonna go meet that guy. And so like when the line of employees that had just came in from this like, let us introduce you to our brand new employees, go make friends, a corporate thing that they were doing. I went up to him and I was like, hey, you're my friend now. And he was all, I am? I was like, yes, yes, you're my friend now. And you seem to be the only one not towing the corporate line up there, so we're friends, okay? He was like, okay. I was like, want to go to lunch? He was like, no, I brought my lunch. I was like, that's cool. I'm poor too. I brought my lunch. And she's like, what did you bring? I'm like, I don't know. Whatever I could find in my crazy like heroin addict um roommates pantries. They were the ones who bought the groceries. They said they made me a sandwich. I don't really know what it is. And I looked, it was peanut butter and jelly, which I was satisfied with. Oh, I'm down with peanut butter and jelly. That's fine. So I was sitting there eating my peanut butter strawberry jelly, and my now boyfriend, who I had just met at work, who was accosted by like this crazy uh, pink hair goth girl who was like, "Be my friend now," um, was sitting with me. He's like, so what are you eating? I was like, strawberry jelly and peanut butter, apparently. This is great. And I was like all happy. I was like, what are you eating? He's like, ramen. I'm like, that'll kill you. He was like, what? It will not. I'm like, no, it will. You shouldn't do that. You could have malnutrition because seriously, like I lived with hardcore heroin addicts and punk rockers and vampires, lifestyle vampires back in the 90s who were poor as hell. And we were all goths, and everyone would tell us, hey, really, do not live on ramen. It will kill you. It has no nutrients in it. And so he's like, no, but there's like whole countries that survive on ramen. I'm Japanese. It's sort of offensive. And I was like, I don't mean it to be offensive. I'm sure it's probably great in Japan. But the stuff you get here is like, this is from here. And I look, it's like some Maruchan ramen. And I'm like, oh boy. So how are you not dying eating nothing but that? He's like, I don't know. How is all of Japan not dying eating anything but that? And I was like, I'm sorry, it was offensive. Like, it was a sad, awkward thing. He's like, "You seem like such a nice girl. You just don't have friends." I'm like, "No." He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because I don't want any." He's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because people suck." He's like, "Well, then why did you want to be my friend?" I don't know, because you're the only one that looks like you belong to the darkness. I think that's what I told him the first. You look like you walked in from the darkness. Just have sadness and sort of darkness that just draped around you like a cape. And I knew the second I saw you, oh, hey, that person's going to be my friend. Because I looked at an entire, like, corporate music store, music and media store, like, where they were just, sort of like selling books and music and movies and this and that, every media thing they could get a hold of, as this conglomeration owned by Sam Goody. I was all, this is gonna be really stupid. These people want me to do stupid stuff and they want me dressed in a way that I'm not down with. I'm not wearing this uniform. I'm wearing this stuff. I'm not wearing khakis. And so I needed a friend who didn't, as I said, toe the line. So I was like, "You're my friend." And it's weird. I used to walk up to people in those days. I get a sense for them. I say, "Be my friend now." Like a jerk, like really, like really abrasive. Just walk up, "You're my friend." And so I did this to this poor guy. And he was like, "So, oh, hello. Hello there. Uh, Paddling Gaming? Am I saying that? No, I'm not saying. Pat Oling Gaming. I don't know. But hi. Not a Maledicta. Here on the Laugh Bag. I'm supposed to be doing a music show, but instead I'm telling stories. Yay! Anyway, because today is the anniversary of when I moved to Portland to be with my boyfriend. I'm saying how I met him at work. So anyway, so I told him, I used to just walk up to people, random people that I thought, I'm going to be friends with that person, just go tell them they're going to be my friend. And then if they walked away and said I was crazy, I wasn't their friend. But then if they, like, entertained my crazy, I was all, oh, I get a feel for you and just see if this is going to work. And so I got a feel for this person. And I was immediately taken with him. He was lovely. He's just a lovely person. And I didn't know where he was from. I couldn't place his accent. I was like, I'm not sure where you're from. And back in those days, I wasn't a linguist. I didn't know how to place an accent anyway. But I used to try because I was always interested in linguistics. And so I asked him, where are you from? He's like, Wyoming. I was like, you don't sound like you're from Wyoming. We're in Denver. You don't sound like the other people from Wyoming. It's like, well, that might be because I used to live in Vermont. I was like, Vermont? He's like, yeah, I came in from Bangor, Maine. I was like, Maine? I don't even know anybody from Maine. That's exotic. In Colorado, it's exotic. In Maine, it's not. In Vermont, it's not. But to me, in Colorado, I was like, Vermont and Maine? Ooh, tell me more. And by the time I was talking to him, like the first time we ever had lunch together, when I was telling him that he shouldn't eat nothing but ramen because it would kill him. And he was all, no, it won't. I've been doing this my whole life with my grandma even. Yeah. So is the whole nation of Japan. Yeah. Sorry. But punk rockers, we all thought we'd die of that. But anyway, I digress. By the time I talked to him for like 30 minutes over lunch, and he had to rush back, and I could tell he was so tired from working 2 jobs. I was like, this person needs a friend, and I need a friend because none of my friends are real friends. All my friends are friends with me because I'm a fashion goth, and because people just, they come up to you in the goth club when you're the fashion goth, and they'll do anything to be the friends with the fashion goths for some reason. Like, that's a very appealing thing. And I fell into that, I guess, I don't know. Not really naturally. I got hazed bad, and yeah, it was not fun, but I was determined that I was just going to be like amongst the very stylish people. Why? I don't know. I thought it was beautiful, so I wanted to be with the very beautiful people. I was going to be one of the beautiful people. And so then it was. And so people would just like fake friend me. Basically, they come up to me in the club and just, give me cloves and ask me out to the alley to drink. And I mean, this is the 90s, so the clubs were much different back then. But anyway, so like I would meet these friends at the goth club, or friends at this coffee house, this legendary coffee house in Denver by the name of Muddy's, where we had nothing but beat poets and goths and wild fun people who all of them, I thought all of them were way too cool to be hanging out with me. I had these friends who were lifestyle vampires, literally, who I sort of, it's a long story, but I dropped out, I flipped off my high school administrators, told them to get bent, threw my papers at them, walked out the door, and moved in with the lifestyle vampires. Yeah, and that was a really unwise decision, but it was what it was. So here I was like living with these three lifestyle vampires and like two heroin addicts who I had helped rescue from like this cigarette store, no kidding, where I was working underage illegally in downtown Denver. Yeah, and where my boss got shot to death, shot and stabbed to death. He was shot 27 times and stabbed 17. Yeah, in the store that I worked in, because we lived in a real nice neighborhood. Anyway, we're renting in the nastiest part like of Capitol Hill, where all the porn theaters were, and the crack houses, in a crack house. And yeah, I would walk to work at Media Play, and my friend Jeremy, who's now my boyfriend, was like, "So you live in Capitol Hill? I'd love to see it." I'm like, "Oh, trust me, it's dangerous." And walk back to my house and listen to music, and then he'd have to go home on the bus because it was like the only time he had between his two jobs. He was in school at the time, in school as a college student, and just had no time, no money. He was starving. It was terrible. Well, all of our lives were just rough, horrible. But and I had, like I said, no real friends. I had like fake friends who would friend me because I was the fashion goth at the goth club. But stupid battery notification. Sorry. Yeah, that means I better plug this in here a minute. But nonetheless, anyway, we were friends. It was my only real friend. I ended up like taking in some heroin addicts who lost their apartment into my apartment. Every one of us, all five of us, were living in a studio apartment in downtown Denver, in a crack house, in a literal crack house. And it was rough, and lots of us slept on the floor. I was one of the only ones who slept in a bed. It's kind of crazy. So, and this was the environment in which my now boyfriend met me, and he was worried for me because he was a normal person who had a normal life with normal people who were normal parents who didn't beat him or hurt him daily. He never had to run away. Like that was my life. I had to. My parents weren't kind to me when I was young, and we've been over that many times. I feel bad saying it even because I'm friends with them now and I love them dearly and we're on good terms, but back in those days they were not kind to me, and they did not approve of my goth thing. They really didn't, and they thought I was really off on a bad track, and I can see their point. But nonetheless, I was super oppressed. All the people that I lived with in my house had been the kids of heroin addicts, and then there were the two heroin addicts I lived with, and they had horrible life stories. All of us had horrible life stories, and so I'm sure my poor boyfriend coming in on this was like, now, I mean, he's my boyfriend now. Back then, I desperately tried to date him, and it did not work. Oh, it is what it is. We admired each other and kept passing as ships in the night, basically. It was sad. It was very sad. But anyway, that's another story altogether. Anyway, he had to have thought I was nuts, and he was my only friend. And when I've undoubtedly living with heroin addicts and people that, like Ratatouille, I lick my mouth. I am complimented. I love mice. I love mice and rats. I had them as pets. They're my favorite little guys. Anyway, so no, I thought he didn't want to date me because I was like, he was like seriously going to college and art school, and I was just failing at life wholesale. I was happy to do it. I was just running on the wild side with wild people, and I was pretty sure they looked at me and was like, that girl's dangerous. I'm not doing that. No, I'm not dating that weird wild one. And she's a serial dater, and she never stops dating anyone long enough to actually ask her out, which is true. You had to like bust into that scene. It was bad. I was a serial dater as a young person. But he was intimidated by the whole thing. He was like, "Oh boy, he really when I look at it now, I used to try and convince him to go to the goth club with me, he wouldn't do it. I always thought it was because he was too cool for it. No, he was intimidated by it, and he was like, "No, I no," and he didn't. He felt like he would be an imposter there, and that's sad because I really think he would have fit in well. But I'm glad he didn't. Now that I'm his girlfriend now, because now I have a rad boyfriend who didn't hook up with every goth girl in the universe, which. Dude, that's what the goth scene's for, right? It's meat market. When I was a kid, it was a meat market. You just hook up with everybody. Oh, it's bad news. And I somehow got out of it unscathed. Yeah, and I'm not sure how I accomplished that even because I was around and dated everyone. I dated everyone because one of the fashion goths date everybody who's pretty. Anyway, so he was intimidated by it. By the time that like 6 months went by, I was already heavily like hooked on morphine and saw that I had a serious problem and that the people I was around were like deleterious and bad, and used the little bit of better sense that I had at that age to call my aunt in Missouri, my Aunt Jeannie, who I love, and she's still in Missouri. God bless her, in the Ozarks. And I called her in the Ozarks and said, Aunt Jeannie, will you take me? She said, of course, girl, I'll always take you. But I don't have the money to get you. You have to like do it yourself. And so I did the ancient ancient, not ancient, the 90s version of crowdfunding. I went to the coffee shop and begged $5 off of everyone that I could get to talk to me until I raised enough money to get the bus out to Missouri. Yeah. And took one bag with me and left the rest of my stuff in Denver and my roommates and my only friend, Jeremy, my only real friend, because everyone else was my fake friend. And he was so sad to see me go. This is a cool story, right? So I had this invitation to a going away party that I had made, and I had cut a bunch of little pictures out of music magazines, like little subversive things. I had glued them to a notebook paper as a collage, and I brought it in as this invitation. Here's my going away party. Here was when it's going to be times, and here's when you show up and what you do to go. And I was going to have it at Boulder Falls, which I did. I had my going away party at Boulder Falls, which is a spectacular place if you've never been. It's beautiful. It's the waterfall up in Boulder Canyon in Colorado. And you know, these are like my home stomps with all these kids from Boulder who are goths. And so we went up to Boulder Falls and had this wild, drunken, drug-fueled goodbye party because that's the people I lived with. That's who they were. And um, my poor friend Jeremy was heartbroken that I was leaving. He was afraid he'd never see me again. And we had gotten very close as friends, and we'd had many crazy ass adventures. I would just call him on the phone, be like, "So hey, are you doing anything? Do you want to go to this crazy crack cafe with me where like we can seriously take the only money we have? We can take the $2.50 we have and it will buy us biscuits and gravy and we can share it." And he'd be like, sure, because he was a starving college student at the time, and he also didn't have a lot of friends, and so he thought it was cool. uh, and I thought he was way too classy to hang out with me. Honestly, I thought he was a classy ass art student. Turns out he was just a poor guy, really desperate for friends, and thought I hung the moon. I didn't even know it. I had no idea he thought I was that cool. It was cute. Anyway, so he loved the art on my going away invitation, and he kept it. He, I said I brought it to work for him at Media Play, and he said, "Can I borrow that invitation?" I said, "You can, but you have to give it back to me. That's my only copy. That's the original." He's like, "Okay, I promise you." And I was like, "You sure?" He's like, "I never break a promise. Seriously, I will give it back to you." And then I didn't see him again. And I moved off to Missouri. I didn't see him again. He couldn't get my mailing address. My roommates were not like the most personable people that you just go up and talk to, being, crazy lifestyle vampires and stuff, and Jeremy being intimidated by the whole of the goth scene, really was afraid to go and ask anybody, and so he didn't see me for I think it was a year. We didn't see each other, and all that time I was busy like in the Ozarks kicking morphine. No kidding. And so yeah, he kept the invitation, trying to give it back to me, but had no idea how he was going to do it, so he just kept it. And Jeremy is wonderful. He's an artist, so he just keeps stuff around. I don't remember what he calls these things. He just keeps like little things, little tops and weird things to make these little like set pieces for like sci-fi things, like sci-fi stop motion stuff. I don't remember what they're called, like Nemes and Gerbils or something. I don't know. Don't ask me. And I'm sure that if you're watching this and you know what I'm talking about, you're laughing your ass off because I know that's not it. But it's something like that. It's some name. I never can remember it. And I always refer to it as something different because I never remember it. I don't know why, but it won't stick in my memory. My brain's broken. Like I said, I have fat hills in here because I have MS. So he's always got like these Nemes and Goobles or whatever the fuck they are. And he kept them with those, like all of his little things that he just keep out of packages and stuff. And kept it. And so, time went by. I was mad at him because I finally got a boyfriend and he wouldn't respond to my I thought obvious hitting on him, and he was not, he did not respond, and I was like, you're the only person that I like hit on who won't respond and won't go out with me. What is going on with this? You are too cool for everyone, aren't you? Oh, I hate that. So then, I got like the big scene fashion goth boyfriend. And he would come and visit me. I was working at a dry clean. I worked so many jobs that year. And he'd come and visit me at the dry cleaner. I finally got mad at him. Well, you can't do this. I have a boyfriend. Like, it went badly, and I got mad at him. And then he didn't talk to me much anymore. And by time, like, things happened, so much happened in those days that I got myself in a really, really sticky life situation where I got raped. It's horrible. On my 19th birthday. And then I got held at knife point by said rapist in an alley behind the coffee shop where I was always hanging out. And I knew my life had gotten very dangerous at that point, and there was another person in the goth scene who swooped in and helped me out, married me off so that I wasn't like in super danger in the goth scene, and forced me out of it. And I went to go say goodbye to Jeremy. I'd been looking for him for like 6 months. At this point, I think, I mean, years had gone by. Like, I met him when I was like 15 or no, 16. Yeah, 16 years old. And by this point, I was like about to be 21, about to be married. And, or actually, I just got married. That's right. I had just got married to this person who was like saving me out of the goth scene from my terrible life situation, and went and told him about it because I couldn't find him and couldn't find the story was working, and finally did find him and brought him the invitation. I was like, I wanted to invite you. You're my real friend. But he was so mad at me, he wouldn't talk to me. He told me he didn't want to talk to me anymore. And I was beyond bereft because I loved my friend and I was sad to lose my good friend. My only real friend. That was really sad. And it broke my heart. And that's all right. Maybe he'll come around someday. And so when I got a message in, was it like 2015, 2016, from somebody named Jeremy, I was like, no, could it be him? And I had already had kid and been divorced and was in an abusive relationship. And yeah, you know what, like questionable decisions for years and years before that. Like, yeah, and he didn't know what I was doing or what I was up to, but decided to contact me. I was so happy. I could have died. And I wasn't involved with anybody. He's like, oh, surely she could be dating somebody. No, I had come down with a nasty MS diagnosis. I was sure that it was killing me, and that's the state in which he had found me, where I was busy wholesale losing everything in my life, including my daughter, and um, my family hadn't disowned me yet, but they're about to. Yeah, things were not good. When I caught back up with Jeremy, when he caught back up with me on Facebook, and ever since that day, like I asked him, "You're not mad at me, are you?" And he had forgotten that any of it had happened, and I seriously think I got down and kissed the ground when he said, "No, why would I be?" I was like, "Really? You're gonna talk to me? Yay! I get my friend back." And so we would just talk to each other through like these relatively harrowing life situations that we were both in. He in Portland, I in Denver, and well, at the time, Erie, Colorado. And I was fighting to get Social Security insurance payments because I have MS, and it was taking me down and making it so I couldn't work. And so I had to move in with my mom, having lost my apartment, having lost my daughter, and having lost most of my belongings. And it was rough, having lost the one significant other relationship I had in my life, which was with a person I really should not have been with. Lost that relationship too. Everything was just going south because I had MS and nobody wanted to deal with it. So I moved back in with my mom out in Erie, Colorado, where there's no services, like I was saying on the last video. And when I finally did get qualified for SSI 2 years after I first applied for it, wasn't soon enough to save my apartment or any of my lifestyle or anything. I had I had to fall on my ass and starve before they were ever going to approve me for it. Nearly killed me, not working all that time. But I really couldn't anyway because I was really that sick. But yeah, so when I finally did win SSI, I won the back pay on it for having applied before that and them not having awarded me anything for years. And so that I got back paid for it because they determined that I should have been declared disabled that whole time. It paid me the chunk payment. I said, called Jeremy and I said, I've got 2 places I could go that I do want to visit. I could go to New York City and visit my sister Pixie, or I could go to Portland and visit you for your birthday. He said, you'd do that? I said, yes. I haven't seen you in so many years, and it would be my pleasure to see you because I missed him so much. He was like the best friend I had had, the only real friend I had back then. And I missed him terribly, and I was so happy, so overjoyed that he had come back in my life that I just up and visited Portland. And the rest is history, and then the rest happened. But note that when I got to Portland to visit him for his birthday, he said, I have a surprise for you. I said, really? He said, I promised you something. Promised you something about 20 years ago that I promised to give back to you, and I have it. And I was like, what did you promise to give me back? He's like, this. And he pulled out the party invitation. And I cried. I cried my eyes out. I said, oh my God. Seriously, you saved that for this many years and this many moves, and you've been in this many crazy housing situations. You saved this. He said, yeah, I promised to give it back to you. I never break a promise, and I told you that. So yeah, that invitation is the joy of my life, to say the least. Anyway, yeah, I think we should do some music. Do you think so? Yeah, but I need to describe some music. So, first of all, in that first set, you heard Leathers with Mary, and you heard Revoices with Eclipse, and then you also heard Mellow Fields. That's a fantastic sort of new retro wave, very 80s synth pop song. Very cool. And then after that, you heard the new Yona Lee track. Oh, I love Yona Lee. The Yona Lee and I Am I Who Am I? And then one of my other favorite synth pop bands, Public Memory. God, I love them. Every time they come to Portland, I do go see them in concert. It is fantastically fun to go see Public Memory. They put on a very moody, very cool show. The first show I saw, I feel bad. I got ridiculously too drunk at that show and cried all over the band because I got to meet him and I was like, you put on such a good show and your music has meant so much to me, because it really had brought me through some dark times, and their stage was all lit up all cool, and I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Yeah. I don't drink much, and so if I do, it gets ugly. It's stupid. But anyway, if Public Memory comes to your town, go see them live. Also, if I Am Emma Who Am I or Yona Lee comes to your town, go see them live. God, that was an incredible show. Me and my boyfriend went to go see them. I think it was April that Yona Lee and I Am Emma Who Am I came through. And she had just had a baby. And I was like on the videos of that show, because everyone takes the video of the show. On my videos of that show, I'm like, can you believe that? This woman's just had a baby. Look at her. I've never been that size in my life. How did she do that? And my boyfriend was like, well, could be all the jumping around the stage she's doing and this much activity, and she has a new baby and she's doing this too. She has a lot of energy. I'm like, well, it's clearly, man, I couldn't be that skinny. That's nuts. Yeah, she is very fit and very skinny for having just had a baby. And I just saw this short with Yuna Lee and her baby. Yeah, so cute. Little blonde baby. Little blonde baby. This is cute. Anyway. The hand, what was the title, that the hand that controls everything? It's an ominous title, but it was cute. And she's like soothing the baby. It's super sweet. If you get the chance, go over and look at the short. It's fantastic. It's lovely. Yeah. And that Leathers single, am I right about this? Song Mary. Okay, so the album is called Ultraviolet, and it came out, I want to say the 19th of August. I could be wrong on the date for that. Nonetheless, I am very happy, very, very heart-touched to be in touch with the publicist for Artifact Records, because I am a huge, ardent, unrepentant Artifact fan. I'm a big fan of Artifact and Dias Records, of course. You find a goth who's not a fan of like Dias Records or Artifact, you're not. Yeah. They're kind of doing it right. Them and Felt. Yeah, Felt with an E at the end. Yeah. Goth record labels. Metropolis, which I know they're publicists too. It's very cool to know the publicists and get to talk to people. Anyway, so I had an interview that was set up to be aired on The Sync with Shannon Hammett, who, dude, she's a hero. Tell you what, here's this woman. She's in this band called Actors. Maybe you've heard of them if you like post-punk. They're fantastic. If you haven't, go check them out. Actors, all capitals. They're fantastic. I see them whenever they come to town. They're a really good post-punk band. She is the keyboardist for that band, Actors. And I have been starry-eyed in their wake many times. They're the coolest people. They will rush off stage and talk to their fans. They're the friendliest band. And so I, being the person who's all, I want to talk to the band. I want to know what's inside. I want to know what's inside the music, because I do nothing but music, honestly. It's like This is the hobby. I swear. This and finding different kinds of cheese and yogurt to eat here in Portland, and different kinds of berries. This place is berry paradise. Anyway, that's a different aside. Nonetheless, groceries, groceries, and going to actor shows and going to band shows. This is my hobby. I love it. I love actors. I'm very much smitten with them, and they always rush off stage and say hi to their fans. They're so wonderful, so friendly. And I've gotten to hang out and talk to Shannon a little bit and bring them Japanese Kit Kats at shows and things. Shannon and Kendall, their bass player, are both in the band Leathers, to my knowledge. Produced by Jason Corbett, who is the lead singer of Actors. Really cool. They're an all artifact, all jackknife production, if you will, or band. And I was really very happy and very overjoyed for Shannon when I heard when she was starting her own project. And I was like, oh, I want to help promote that. So I hooked up with the promoters and said, I want to interview Shannon for the sync, because that's the kind of music that we play. It's fantastic. And things went south. And technology, I don't know. People tell me Mercury was in retrograde. I definitely believe that. My computer took a dive in the zero click attack. It was awful. That's why I'm here on YouTube on my phone, but whatever. Anyway, so this album, Ultraviolet, if you haven't heard it, go hear it. It's good. And that song, Mary, that's my favorite song on Ultraviolet. Although they're all really good. So you should go check it out if you haven't. And really fantastic stuff. Every artist in this set, really fantastic. Revoices I found as being part of the Insight Music. They have a promotion list on part of it. They send me emails. And I'm a YouTube subscriber of theirs, and this is mostly how I source my music anyways. I just go over on YouTube and find it. It's cool stuff. Anyway, I've been talking for too long. Can we do some music? 6 or 7 more tracks. And I'll be back on the mic with you. After that, I'll set up some more live video. The way this is supposed to work is you're supposed to be able to click on the sync. It's supposed to be like, oh, hey, I go for this first live thing. And then, see everybody talking. And then, yeah. Anyway, you're supposed to be able to go through, play the songs. And the videos are supposed to play as in time, so that you can just go through seamlessly. I'm trying to set that up. I did not realize that I could set these videos for later and actually time it. So I'm doing that. I'm going to do that. But, all right. I will be back on the mic with you here in a few. So go over to, if you don't know where the sync list is, to go push play and hear the songs. It's in a post on Maledicta Radio. Go over there. Push play. Wait for 6 songs. I'll be back on the mic with you. Hopefully, it'll just be right back to the video, and then no delay this time. Sorry for 45 minutes of storytelling, but I'm sorry, not sorry as well, because whatever. All right, let's hear these. Hear these next 6 or 7 tracks. I'll be back to tell you more. Also, all the links to buy this stuff, you can find them over on Threads. You can follow me there. MMEMALEDICTA. That's where you'll always find me on social media. Madam Maledicta. Everywhere. Everywhere music you love is, you'll find me under Madam Maledicta. Anyway, I'll talk to you soon. Come join me on the next chat.